How about we start this video with the blooper reel of when I was trying to film when my daughter was still awake. Those of mine. Big girl. You want to say hi? Hi. I know it's because bust. I ovulated. A minute. Tita. Tita. My daughter reached into the fridge and pulled out one of my green smoothies and is just helping herself to it. Macy, is that good? I don't know how YouTube mommies video when their kids are awake. Like, that was a disaster. I'm gonna try to keep this video quick. It was not the video I was expecting to make this cycle, but it's part of my journey for better or worse, so I figured I would record it. Unfortunately, cycle 1 was a total bust. It was pretty much over before it even began. And the reason for that is because my husband got a man cold. And we both agreed that when we approach trying to conceive month by month, we both want to be healthy and willing and able to do it each cycle. And if one of us was not feeling well, then we would just skip that cycle. So that's what we did. So this was not cycle 1, this was cycle nothing. Next cycle will be cycle 1. But for the sake of logging the journey, I thought I would just make a couple notes. First of all, I ovulated early this cycle. I started taking my OPKs this cycle on cycle day 8, and I took one on cycle day 8 at 11 o'clock in the morning, and I'll show you in a minute my results. I took one at 11 o'clock in the morning and it was completely negative. And then I took one at 11 o'clock on cycle day 9 and it was like blazingly positive. And it was positive up until I think it was cycle day 11 or something. The cycle before, so last month, I didn't get my first positive until cycle day 12. And the cycle before that, I got my first positive on cycle day 10. So there seems to be a little bit of variation in all of this, which I'm sure is normal. But I did think that was interesting because I feel like cycle day 9 is a little early. But another interesting thing is my basal body temperature chart. One thing I had, I believe, talked about before was that I found it really strange that my post-ovulatory basal body temperature made this really strange gradual climb upward. And then I think it was like at 13 DPO that it finally peaked out before immediately dropping down before my period started. And it was at that time that I was wondering if maybe the postpartum PMDD problems that I've been suffering from on and off for the past 14 months could be due to a progesterone imbalance, because that is one of the main and leading causes to having PMDD. But last cycle was the first cycle that I religiously temped, and I recorded it on Fertility Friend, so I really didn't have anything to compare it to until this cycle. And now I'll put up this cycle's chart. Now I'll just make a note that I'm only on cycle day 13, so my cycle's really only halfway done. But already you can see on my basal body temperature chart that I have a very classic chart this month. You can still see I'm a little inconsistent with taking my times. You can tell because the circles on each of the plot points of my chart are hollow. That means I didn't take my temperature at the normal time. There's really only a 45-minute variance in all of my temps that I take, and it's just because I don't wake up exactly at the same time every day. Anyway, my temperature this cycle went straight up right after ovulation, and I confirmed that with my OPKs. And interestingly enough, I have had 0 PMDD symptoms this whole cycle. Last month, I had just terrible insomnia, terrible fatigue, really bad irritability and mood swings, and like a couple of the other symptoms I get with PMDD. And this month, I have had none of it. I have felt like a normal human being. So it's frustrating because I don't feel like I have any control over my health in terms of this issue I'm having with PMDD. And it's like pulling teeth trying to get the healthcare system here to set me up with an appointment so I can just do a simple blood draw. If I do have a progesterone imbalance, it's so easy to fix. I could just order a progesterone cream online today for like nothing at all. It's so cheap. And like try to self-medicate, but I don't want to do that. But I mean, I'm really upset with our healthcare system here right now because this is an important problem. And if I am having progesterone problems, that is a leading cause to early miscarriage. If your body is not sending off the proper hormonal signals to keep your uterine lining like thick and growing. So it's something I'm going to have to be my own advocate for, I think. But I did want to make a note of that, especially in my own particular case, that so far, based off of just these 2 different cycles, my mood is directly correlated to what appears to be a normal progesterone balance from cycle to cycle. So there's that. I've started storing all of my OPK tests in this little notebook, but I figure it's useful to record them on video while they're still relatively fresh because I can see the lines already fading and the test's getting a little yellow at this point, so I know I'm going to have to throw them away eventually. So this month I had at it again, and these are my results. I started on cycle day 8 at 11 o'clock in the morning, and this was a very negative test, and it also almost looked faulty because the control line didn't even cover the whole strip. But whatever, it was definitely negative. But then 24 hours later, it was very much positive, and it continued to be positive up until the morning of cycle day 11. So I think I have positive OPKs for a window of 36 hours. That seems to sort of be the pattern. And I tend to get my darkest line 24 hours exactly after I get my first positive. And I think they say that you ovulate typically 12 to 24 hours after you get your first positive OPK, so that's sort of in line with what science seems to suggest. And according to my basal body temperatures on my chart, which I will put over here, Fertility Friend indicates that I also ovulated on cycle day 10. So it's nice to see all of those indicators line up. I guess that brings me a bit of comfort. Still a little bummed that we missed out on this cycle. I think this could have been a good egg. But it is what it is, and, you know, there's no use crying over spilled milk, as they say. I have decided to continue taking my red raspberry leaf and evening primrose oil supplements after ovulation. The internet tends to say that those supplements can cause contractions, so if you're actively trying to conceive, you don't want to take certain things after you ovulate. But we didn't try this month, and there's a lot of health benefits to taking those 2 things when you're not trying to conceive. So I just figured I'd keep at it and stay consistent, and then next cycle I will stop taking them after ovulation. And also, after filming my last video and continuing to read more peer reports and a couple other clinical studies, I have decided to stop taking the baby aspirin. So I haven't taken it for a few days now. I feel like, given my history and my situation and how fresh and early I am in trying to conceive for this baby, that it is not something that I need to be putting in my body. I have no indication that I have an issue with chemical pregnancies or anything like that. So for right now, I'm not going to take it. One really exciting thing, though, that I realized when I was trying to cheer myself up about missing out on this cycle to try to conceive, I looked on my calendar, and next month, if my period remains consistent, I should be 13 DPO on Christmas morning. So hopefully Aunt Flo arrives on time this month so that all that timing lines up. But even if I have a couple day variance here or there, it shouldn't really affect my ability to take my first pregnancy test trying to conceive on Christmas morning. And I have so many thoughts about how I want to go about doing that, but I don't want to talk about it yet because I want to save that for next month and have something to daydream and get really excited about during my 2-week wait. So I'm not going to talk about that just yet, but I am extremely excited about the fact that I can take my first pregnancy test on Christmas morning. Oh, I just think that's so special. Anyway, I thought I would end this video in case anyone is interested with some pictures and a really cool time-lapse video I made today of my little corner of Sweden. We had our first legitimate snow a few days ago, and it is a total winter wonderland here. If you're interested, keep watching. It's just going to be a few seconds of pictures and videos. Otherwise, again, if you are actively trying to conceive, I would love if you dropped a comment below so that I could follow you. It just is more exciting having others to go along the ride with. So anyway, I will see you guys next time. Have a happy Thanksgiving if you are in America, and I will be back in a couple weeks with a new update video starting my real cycle 1 of trying to conceive for baby number 2. Bye!